lot of us read books or watch films to escape or distract ourselves from the world we're actually living in. Some stories create universes we wish we could be a part of, while others, like the one Suzanne Collins writes about, makes us somewhat glad we're not being thrown into an arena to kill a bunch of kids once a year. To be honest, at first I was actually sort of surprised that the Hunger Games films were even made at all. I thought the studios, media, or even world politicians and leaders would catch on that it's a reflection on the current state of the world that they are responsible for making, or, I suppose, destroying, and would kill the piece before it even grew legs and started walking.
Wait, is this a fucking play about us?
But then I thought about it, and I realised something. It was the illusion of escapism that allowed the movie franchise not only to be made, but to become the success that it is. This illusion of fantasy in a story that is deeply rooted in our reality. I'm sure everyone and their mother knows the plot of The Hunger Games, whether that be through the book series or the films. The filmmakers were very loyal to the source material, especially with the first movie, but to quickly recap. Our protagonist, Katniss Everdeen, lives in Panem, which is based on the map of the United States. She lives in the mining faction of District 12, where money and food are scarce. The lore is that there was this uprising many years before Katniss was born, where the districts fought against the capital and lost. Since then, the Hunger Games have been put on every year as a reminder of the capital's power over the districts. One boy and one girl, some as young as 12, are selected to compete in the arena, and there can only be one winner. But, as Haymitch says,
nobody ever wins the games, period. There are survivors. There's no winners.
The contestants have to do whatever it takes to survive. It is kill or be killed. But then Katniss embarrasses the Capitol on live television by saving both herself and Peter from certain death, and shit hits the proverbial fan until the end of the third book, Mockingjay.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the winners of the 74th Annual Hunger Games.
The capital is a city at the heart of Panem, where all of the wealthy, rich members of society live. They have food in abundance, they have incredible clothes, modern houses, and exceptional technology. They alter their appearances in whatever way they desire. And in the books especially, their medical ingenuity is staggering compared to what's available in the districts. All of this is the exact opposite of Katniss's life. She's grown up starving half the time, trading for morsels to feed her family, and even lost her father to the job he was forced to work to try and keep his kids alive.
I volunteer as tribute!
And all of this is happening on the same continent, in the same country. People dying from their poverty, while others gorge on so much food that they make themselves sick just to eat more. The capital people seem almost insane to the reader or viewer, with their over-the-top surgical enhancements, garish, overpriced fashion, and general exaggerated personas. They seem so detached from reality, so much so that it infuriates Katniss and all of the people who have nothing that are forced to watch them. Sound familiar?
Wow! Wow! Wow!
Is it your first Met?
Wow!
Of course, almost none of the people in either the districts or the capital are at fault for the state Panem is in. It's not their fault that they were born in a certain part of the country compared to others, and that their reality is the only reality they know. Before the games begin, Katniss gets a glimpse of what her life could have been if she was born in the capital, and as much as she hates the fact that they have so much and she had so little, she wants nothing more than to bring her sister and mother here, where they'd never want for anything again. But then, cruelly, it's all ripped away from her again when she's thrust into the arena. It's the constant state of fear, the apathy and the desensitization within the people in the capital that is the real problem. And I think that Effie Trinket is the perfect example of this.
The marmalade.
That is mahogany.
Effie is a Capitol resident whose job it is to get Katniss and Peeta ready for the Hunger Games, and also all of their TV appearances beforehand. Think of her almost like a publicist or a media trainer.
Eyes bright, chins up, smiles on. I'm talking to you, Katniss.
I love the way she's introduced in both the books and the movies. She's this extravagant figure who seems so utterly jarring in the setting of District 12, where we first meet her. In the Capitol, she would have fit in perfectly. If anything, her outfits and flamboyance is understated compared to some of her peers.
Ooh, curtains.
But in the middle of a starved mining town, you can see the true ridiculousness of her in all its glory.
Happy Hunger Games. And may the odds be ever in your favor.
And yet, she's a character that we grow to love. Why? Because as the story continues, the veil slowly drops. Despite the fact that she and everyone in Panem have watched the Hunger Games every year since they were born, she cares for Katniss and Peeta. She does everything she can to help them, sometimes even risking her career and eventually her life. She realises the failings of the place she comes from and takes action to help Katniss and Peeta survive.
Well, you both deserved so much better.
In the first book, she was this character who was comfortable with her lifestyle and governed by the fear-mongering President Snow. But by the final book, she's a fighter who battles for what's right in her own way.
You know, everything old can be made new again. Like democracy.
The Panem media guides the Capitol citizens' view of the world. Reports are faked, massacres aren't televised and are brushed under the rug, and President Snow is always presented as an almost holy figure. The media teaches the Capitol citizens not to care about the districts, that they are the bad guys. And it divides the country enough that the districts are either too busy trying to survive or fighting with one another in the arena, that they're too distracted to band together and destroy the real villain. Well, until Katniss becomes a beacon of hope for the districts and leads the war against Snow.
It's like a mockingjay.
Sometimes I think ignorance is not only bliss, but it's also easier than the alternative. And that is why so many people, just like the Capitol citizens, choose to live in it. I think the story of how Collins came up with the idea of the Hunger Games in the first place kind of speaks for itself. I was channel surfing between reality TV programming and actual war coverage when Katniss's story came to me. One night, I'm sitting there flipping around, and on one channel there's a group of people competing for, I don't know, money maybe? And on the next, there's a group of young people fighting an actual war. And I was tired, and the lines began to blur in this very unsettling way, and I thought of this story. So as I said earlier, a lot of us read books or watch films to get away from the real world, to live inside a fantasy reality that is nowhere near to our own. But in the case of the Hunger Games, is that really the case anymore?
But if you resist the system, you starve yourself. If you fight against it, it is you who will bleed. Panem today, Panem tomorrow, Panem forever.